Good morning. We're back home from our travels Saturday morning. Today I want to talk about how we know how to live. If you like, you could call it the difference between right and wrong. This channel's called JK's Rambling, and I have a sneaky feeling that this morning's thought is going to be a bit of a ramble. But here we are. We're brought up as children, aren't we? And we are encouraged by our parents to understand the difference between right and wrong. And we're encouraged, we're disciplined, we're punished. Punished, that's not a very popular word, is it? We're punished in order to learn the difference. My mum used to smack me with a wooden spoon. We're not allowed to do that nowadays, are we? But later on, she used to make us sit on the naughty step. That was her thing, and my dad used to smack my bottom on quite a regular occasion. Believe me, I needed it. So that's one way we've learnt right and wrong. We've got our consciences, don't we? I wonder to what point our consciences are formed by how our parents have disciplined us, and by discipline I mean teaching us the whole thing. I don't just mean the punishment. Discipline as in, learning the whole thing about goodness and badness and so on. I wonder how much our consciences are shaped by that. So you could argue that our consciences are not a very reliable, could be an unreliable way of understanding the difference between right and wrong. And it's fair to say that the older I get, and the more I want to please God in the way I live, the more I feel like my conscience is speaking to me about things that never would have crossed my mind before. So there's a sense in which my conscience is being shaped. But there's something inside all of us, isn't there? Something about the way we've been made which helps us to understand the difference between right and wrong. Now there's the laws, isn't there? The laws set down by our societies, and there's the kind of expectation socially about what's acceptable and what's not. But ultimately, I think we get the sense of right and wrong from and I say the sense, knowing what is right and wrong. That's what I want to talk about. We get that from the Bible, originally from the Ten Commandments, and later on in the Bible from the things that Jesus said about the way we should live. I've kind of struggled a bit with the Ten Commandments because a lot of them are set in a way about they're described in a way that about things that you should not do rather than things you should do. But Jesus kind of changed that, and I looked up at the reading in Matthew this morning. Let me read it to you. I've got it here on my iPad. Just bear with me. Yeah, Jesus said there were some Pharisees who were trying to catch Jesus out, and they were asking him questions, and Jesus responded to one of those questions. They asked him somebody asked Jesus, what's the most important law? And this is what Jesus said. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbour as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. So these, what Jesus is saying here is framed in the positive, in the same way as sometimes we talk about our rights, and I often find it helpful to think about our responsibilities. So what are the positive, what are the things we should be doing to please God? And he's put it really succinctly there. We're supposed to love one another. I find that incredibly helpful. What do you use as a kind of way of knowing whether what you're doing is right or wrong? Is it just listening to the voice in your head? Or do you look for something outside yourself to decide whether or not your behaviour is right? I'd be interested to know. It was a bit of a ramble this morning, wasn't it? But maybe there's some food for thought there. Thanks very much. Bless you. Have a good day.